Sean Mays. I am streaming to you live today to ask you this question. Do you have condo or HOA debt? If you do, stick around. I'm going to talk about how you can deal with that debt and prevent it from snowballing and growing out of control. Hey, so if we haven't met before, my name is Sean Mays. I'm a lawyer in Pennsylvania, and I help consumers deal with a range of debt issues from mortgage foreclosures and HOA liens to filing bankruptcy to eliminate their debt and reorganize their financial futures. So today I want to talk to you about HOA or condominium liens and how we can prevent those from escalating and growing out of control. If you have any questions or comment, please feel free to leave those below. Also, if you want to suggest any other topics for future videos, leave those below as well, and we can make a video and answer questions on other topics as well. So, talking about HOA and condo liens, there are two laws in Pennsylvania. So for HOAs, there is the Uniform Planned Community Act, and for condominiums, there's the Uniform Condominium Act. Both laws, when they talk about assessments, are practically identical. They're in different sections of the law, but the wording is really virtually identical. So we're going to talk about them together because we treat them the same way. So in Pennsylvania, if you do not pay your condominium or HOA assessments, whether they come due monthly or annually or quarterly, the HOA or the condo automatically has a lien on your property. It's automatic. They don't have to file anything. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to do anything. Under the law, as soon as there is an unpaid assessment, the association has a lien. It's that simple. Also under the law, and this is really important, the association is entitled to tack on late fees and interest up to 15% annually for unpaid assessments. If those assessments continue to go unpaid, the association's entitled to either foreclose the exact same way your mortgage company would foreclose on your house, or sue you civilly. Either way, they are entitled to get their attorney's fees from you if they prevail in court. And that is a really powerful thing. That's probably the most powerful thing that can really cause your HOA debt to snowball and grow out of control. There's actually been case law in Pennsylvania. If you want to Google it, it's Mountain View versus Bommersbach. Don't ask me how to spell Bommersbach off the top of my head. But just to give you a quick rundown on what that case was about, basically there was a dispute over about $1,000 in association assessments. It was litigated. It was litigated all the way through to the appeals courts. And at the end, the association had a $35,000 legal bill for that case. And the homeowner ended up getting stuck with that legal bill. And the Pennsylvania courts found that it was reasonable. It was a reasonable fee for the association to charge. It didn't matter that they were only arguing about $1,000. The association had a legal right to its attorney fees, and if the homeowner wanted to litigate it all the way up to the Superior Court in Pennsylvania, then the homeowner was on the hook for those fees. And that is, my first tip, and probably the most important tip to watch out for, is that you always need to remember that your HOA or your condominium is entitled to their attorney fees if they sue you and prevail. And that's something to keep in mind. So what can you do to minimize that and prevent that from happening? Tip number one is just to be proactive and communicate. If you are behind, probably, a lot of people have this reaction where they kind of just ignore it and hope that it'll go away or hope that it'll get better, and it really doesn't. Late fees pile on, interest piles on, and then if it gets referred to an attorney, things start to grow out of control very, very quickly. So communicate. Most associations are willing to work with homeowners. They're willing to put people on payment plans or forbearance plans. Sometimes I've even seen them waive late fees and interest to help people get back on track. I mean, generally speaking, remember that the homeowners association are your neighbors. And again, I say generally, sometimes there is bad blood in a HOA or a condo, but generally speaking, they're not out to get you. They're not out to really profit from you. They're out to really get those assessments paid and go on about their business. But probably the quickest way to get your debt escalated to an attorney for collections is to just ignore it. If you ignore it, they have no other choice to get your attention than to escalate it to an attorney. And the next thing you know, a lawsuit is filed for your association to collect those assessments. And when that happens, an attorney is going to be demanding a lot of money. My second tip is to be careful what you litigate and what you dispute. Obviously, I would always recommend that you get an attorney to review your assessments. Assessments can get pretty tricky sometimes. I mean, there are a lot of laws out there that govern how assessments have to be calculated. There's also, issues in governing documents, declarations and bylaws that govern how assessments have to be made and partitioned among all the different homeowners. And really, it pays to, if you have a dispute or if you have a concern about an assessment, if you think there's improper charges or your HOA is acting improperly, it's really best to get an attorney or a second opinion to review that. Because if you decide to litigate that without an attorney, when your HOA sues you to collect those fees, you got to remember, you could end up being on the hook for their attorney's bill, and it can be quite substantial. My next tip, and this is probably really important, is that you need to act fast and you need to act early. There are a lot of things that you can do to prevent fees from snowballing. For instance, one of the things you can do, let's say you have a temporary setback and you're behind several months on your bills, is consider a bankruptcy. If your association won't work with you, one thing you can do is file a bankruptcy and force them to work with you. What a bankruptcy does is it stops their collection actions immediately. It prevents them from suing you, or if they've already sued you, it stops that lawsuit in its tracks, and it gives you a fresh start and an ability to propose a payment plan to repay those condominium or HOA assessments over a period of anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And here's the kicker: without incurring additional late fees, interest, or other costs that you would incur if you just did nothing or tried to do it on your own without filing bankruptcy. That's just one option. What might be appropriate for you really depends on your specific finances. But once again, if you're going to try to prevent HOA or condo assessments from snowballing out of control, it's always important to remember that if they get an attorney involved, you could end up being on the hook for that. Very important to remember. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. Once again, if you want me to talk or add different content, hey, feel free to let me know. But that's HOA fees in a nutshell, and what I would do if it was me to prevent them from snowballing. If you like this video, let me know, and thanks for watching.